Project 2025. Is it a governmental reform document or is it something that signals a change that we don't want to happen that's to come? Well, that's for later. But for now, you are tuned into the morning shift with Cole Johnson, presented by BS3 Network, and it starts right now. Well, how you doing, Shifter? It is Monday, July the 8th, 2024. Welcome to BS3 Presents the Morning Shift with Cole Johnson. We are live on BS3TVLive.com. We are live on the BS3 Morning Shift Cole Johnson YouTube channel. We're also live right now streaming on the Real Wise Radio Network. I hope everything is good with you. I hope you woke up wonderful and refreshed, Shifter. If not, you will be refreshed when this program is over. Now sit back and relax for the next 60 minutes. You're going to be informed, enlightened, entertained, engaged, and inspired. And along with Project 225, we'll do our best to explain what that is. We'll also touch on Axel F, Beverly Hills Cop, Axel F that is, and will it actually lead to possibly another one? So we'll do a movie review right here and now on right here on the on Program Spotlight, I should say. And we will also touch on unanswered prayers. You know, Kanye West actually said that he had unanswered prayers and he had issues with Jesus. We'll touch on why that possibly is the case. Actually, we'll touch on why that is the case. All that is for later. For now, let's start you up. And here is what's on tap in the world today. Blessings go to the southeast Texas coast, as unfortunately Hurricane Beryl barreled its way earlier this morning near Matagorda Bay. Made landfall as a Category 1 storm, unleashing damaging winds and torrential rain that has caused widespread power outages, and also has triggered tornado warnings. Strengthening from a tropical storm into a hurricane overnight, Beryl had winds over 80 miles an hour as it made landfall near Matagorda. And for those who don't know where that is, it's a community between Corpus Christi and Galveston. Minutes after landfall, the Weather Service office in Houston issued a tornado warning for multiple counties, and twisters will be possible as far as from East Texas into Northwest Louisiana and as far as the Southwest Arkansas corridor of the state, according to the Weather Service Storm Prediction Center. President Joe Biden tried to calm panic in his first television interview Friday, responding to some Democrats' calls for him to drop out the race. After his wonderful debate performance against his former and now current rival, the former President Donald Trump, Thursday before last. Biden brushed off concerns about his health and remained defiant, saying only the Lord Almighty could convince him to step aside in his sit-down with ABC News' George Stephanopoulos. Don't be wishing that, son. I'm sorry. When Stephanopoulos asked Biden about his low poll numbers and approval ratings, Biden rejected them, saying he believes that they aren't accurate. I think he probably said it this way, quote, I don't think anyone is qualified. Mitch, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't think anyone is more qualified to be president and Am I running a marathon? Oh, I'm sorry. Win this race than me. Close quote. 81 years old in your mental. I'm sorry. Members of the local VFW Post 3282 in Central Florida got an unexpected Zoom call as part of their 4th of July festivities on Thursday. It was from the former President Donald Trump. When one David Linzer stopped into the Post early in the afternoon, he was told that he might want to return later. And at 6:30 p.m., Representative Corey Mills of Florida would be there. And, oh, by the way, there would be another secret thing happening. Well, Mills didn't show, but Trump's voice came through loud and clear. He delivered a special message to the packed patriotic crowd. It was a receptive audience for the presumptive Republican nominee. Trump's 8-minute free-form delivery, in which he blasted the current occupant of the White House. What a shock. Saying the following, quote, "I just want to say that there's nobody that loves the military more than me. Nobody more than me. Nobody more than me. We've done more than I would say any other president in terms of rebuilding it. It was a mess. I mean, it was a huge mess, I tell you. I hate to see what happened in Afghanistan where these stupid people gave away approximately $85 billion worth of brand new military equipment. $85 billion. How stupid can you be? I mean, planes, tanks, and guns," close quote. A mass shooting in Florence, Kentucky has left 4 people dead and 3 people injured. The Florence Police Department says the victims were attending a 21st birthday party where shots rang out on Saturday. Around 2:50 in the morning, officers were dispatched to a Florence residence about 11 miles south of Cincinnati after reports of shots being fired. Upon arrival, the officers then located multiple victims, and people who were attending the party said that the shooter fled the scene, but that they had a vehicle description, Police Chief Jeff Mallory said in a news conference. Well, this month, which has only been a week in length, California has become the first state to require credit card companies to create a unique 4-digit code for stores selling firearms. And on that same day, the law took effect in California, which was last Monday. Laws banning, we should say, that code also went into effect in Georgia, Iowa, Wyoming, and Tennessee. The code, known as the Merchant Category Code, or MCC, tracks the type of business where a transaction was made to determine things like tax reporting or transaction fees. It also can be used to track purchasing behavior, but MCCs do not note the specific items purchased. Darius Rucker thinks Morgan Wallen deserves forgiveness 3 years after his racial slur controversy. In an interview with Rolling Stone Music Now, published this past Tuesday, Rucker said Wallen's changed since February 2021. That was the time the incident happened, when TMZ posted a video taken by one of Wallen's neighbors in front of the singer's Nashville home. Rucker said, quote, I think Morgan's become a better person since that. I mean, take care of when he said, take care of this, close quote. That's what Wallen said while being dropped off. Rucker, the former Hootie and the Blowfish frontman, is black. What a shock. I'm sorry, my bad. Despite being one of the most commercially successful country music artists over the past decade, Rucker pointed out that Wallen has not received trophies in the award circuit, including major snubs at the ACMs and the CMAs, as well as the Grammy Awards. Power to the people? Wow, what a shock again. The idea of moving to another country to protest a presidential administration or political policy, well, that isn't new. Think the Vietnam War, or even vows to move following the re-election of President George W. Bush. Even Trump once joked that he might leave if Biden was elected. Amber Rose said she would leave the country in 2016 if Trump got elected, only to now cast a vote for him this year. Politics space for strange bedfellows. But in 2024, as voter anxiety hits the red zone ahead of a divisive election contest again between Trump and Biden, there are signs that Americans from a cross section of society they're taking a more serious look at the exits, and I'm sure they won't depart. Summer's in full swing, and beverage companies are in high gear, advertising beach-ready canned cocktails, spiked lemonades, and summer ales. But when you're relaxing the sun, it can be tempting to bring along an adult beverage. Now, let this serve as a reminder to consider your safety, though, when summertime drinking. 31% of drowning deaths involve blood alcohol concentration over the legal limit, or BAC. Thinking of bringing a drink to your next door outdoor gathering? Well, here's how the National Institute on Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism, or NIAAA, defines heavy drinking. Women are 4 or more drinks on a given day, or more than 8 per week. That pretty much would be over your limit. For men, 5 or more drinks on a given day, more than 15 per week. That would be your limit. Binge drinking is a pattern of drinking alcohol that increases the BAC to 0.08 or 0.08 or higher. Why do you want to destroy your stuff? Yeah, boy. In sports, well, we have a sad news to report. The rookie Vikings cornerback Kyrie Jackson, he was among 3 that was killed in a crash. It's unfortunate. The 4th-round draft pick was killed in one early Saturday morning near the D.C. area in Prince George's County. Isaiah Hazel and Anthony Lighton Jr. were also killed in the crash. From the gridiron to the hardwood, where the Kings acquired DeMar DeRozan. Why would you do that? I'm sorry, my bad. In a sign and trade with the Bulls and the Spurs. The Bulls will get Chris Duarte, 2 second-round picks in cash, and Spurs will get Harrison Barnes. Journeyman for real. Sorry. And then after the trade happened, the Kings and DeRozan agreed to a 3-year, $74 million extension. From the men's hardwood to women's hardwood, Caitlin Clark recorded the first ever triple-double by a rookie in the WNBA, an upset win over the Fever on Saturday. And then Angel Reese doing her thing on the weekend. She recorded her 12th and 13th consecutive double-double, and that breaks Candace Parker's record that spanned over 2 seasons, as the Sky split games in Seattle. On the tennis court in Wimbledon, the women's world's number 1 and 2 gone. And Jannik Sinner and Carlos Alcaraz on the men's side, well, they advanced to the quarterfinals over the past weekend. Novak Djokovic is looking to do the same today. And in WWE action, John Cena, who made an appearance, a surprise one at that, at Toronto's PLE, Money in the Bank, well, he announced his retirement. And I want everyone to hear what I'm saying. The man did not say he was going to retire at WrestleMania. The man said he was going to have his last WrestleMania match next year, and he will be on basically a farewell tour all of 2025 season long. So for those who really have a hard of hearing, he will probably retire around Christmas, not April 20th. Okay. Good talk. Thank you to Playmaker, the associate producer of all the sports headlines that you just heard me read. And now turning our attention to weather, as presented by the Weather Channel. Today, it will be sunny skies and 93 degrees in Seattle. It will be a sun thunderstorm mix with a high of 79 in Minneapolis, a sun thunderstorm mix with a high of 80 in Chicago, thunderstorm with a high of 85 in St. Louis. It'll be partly cloudy in the sky and a high of 89 in Detroit. Over in the East Coast, it will be partly cloudy skies and 83 in Boston, partly cloudy skies and 90 in New York, partly cloudy skies and 96 in Washington. Down south, it'll also be partly cloudy and 91 in Miami, partly cloudy skies and 93 in Atlanta, cloudy skies and 89 in Memphis, a sun thunderstorm mix with a high of 93 in New Orleans. Down in the southwest, it will be partly cloudy skies and 97 in San Antonio, rain and 82 in Dallas, a whole lot of rain and 81 in Houston. Of course, Hurricane Beryl will be dumping a whole lot of its effects, wind and rain in that area. Please be careful, those in the H-Town and further south and east. Hope everything is fine with you all. To the Rockies, 85 and sunny. It will be in Denver. And down in the desert, it will be the high in the country, of 118 and sunny in Phoenix. It'll be 116 and sunny in Las Vegas. And over on the West Coast, it'll be partly cloudy skies and 82 degrees in Los Angeles. It will also be partly cloudy skies, but it will be 65 in the Yay area. Thank you, E. Water. And that's your look on today's weather. And now you have been properly started up. Coming up later, Project 2025. It's the end of the world as we know it, or is it? And my prayers ain't been answered. What is that phenomenon? And we'll explain that, of course, in Lighten the Way. But coming up next, Axel Foley. Yes, Beverly Hills Cop Axel F. It premiered this past week, actually right before the Independence Day started. We'll give you a review, the morning shift style. You are tuned into live. BS3 presents the morning shift with Cole Johnson on BS3TVLive.com. Also on BS3 Morning Shift, Cole Johnson's YouTube channel. We're also streaming live audibly on the Real Wise Radio Network. We'll be right back on this bright, wonderful Monday right after this.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.
Hey, Eagles fan. Join my man Cool McCain and a host of others as they break down every single game, every single week in an objective manner, and also from a fan's perspective as well. Remember, this cast feels just like you. Nobody likes you. And you don't care. Fly, Eagles, fly. Eagles Elite Podcast, every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on YouTube and other podcast outlets. Are you looking for something to do on your lunch break? Well, there's a show on the BS3 network that has only 4 words to say to you.
We ready, we ready, we ready for y'all. We ready, we ready, we ready for y'all. The Lunch Break, powered by JM&E. Live weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern, noon Central. Welcome back to the morning shift on the BS3 network. I'm Cole Johnson. You're watching it live on the BS3TVLive.com. You're watching it on YouTube, and that would be BS3 Morning Shift Cole Johnson. That's where you can find this one on YouTube.
and you're listening to it live on Real Wise Radio. Glad that you're here, Shifter. I'm glad that you have awakened with me. That means it's a great day already. And now we're going to make a good day even better by you tuning in and having this wonderful interaction with one another. And speaking of which, to Shift Nation we go, and Victor Locke, or V-Lock83, or Victor Locke, he says, good morning to Shift Nation, and good morning to my friend and mentor, the EP of all EPs, Cole Johnson. Hope you had a great weekend. I did. It was far too short, but it was a good one all the same. And I think my body finally recovered from grilling, but everything is good. I hope everything is good on your end. And yes, tune into Snowman in the morning, 10 a.m. On Snowman Multimedia, Snowman Multimedia's YouTube channel. I'm sorry. Yeah, you can tune into that one. I think 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. where Victor and I are. Well, Victor's in Chicago. I'm in Nashville. Both are in the Central Time Zone, and 7 a.m. over in L.A. The Playmaker, my man, the associate producer of the sports stuff that we bring to the morning shift. I can't really call you that, but he's coming close. He says the morning shift is back after a crazy weekend. Yes. And speaking of crazy weekend, you heard my mentioning of John Cena being at Money in the Bank, WWE's Money in the Bank, or over this past weekend, and announcing his retirement. Hear more about that with him and Cool McCain as they have Monarchs of Wrestling. That is on the Real Play Callers YouTube channel and the Shady Sports Network YouTube channel. You can catch that 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Central later on today. Victor says, what's going on, Super Hacker Playmaker? He says, Victor, what's good? He says, you're doing well. And Ryan McCarthy of No Riches Acquired fame, he says, good morning, fellow shifters. Good morning to you, my fellow shifter, one of my prize shifters. Espresso coffee from Victor. Playmaker says, 5 minutes in, and the foolishness has begun. Cole, stop making people, especially the old liar. What do you mean? You're fired. I'm sorry, my bad. Ryan says, none of these fools are ever leaving the country if insert candidate is elected. Again, Amber Rose is pretty much, to me, the poster child for when someone says, if someone gets elected, I'm leaving the country. She said that about Trump 8 years ago, and now about 2 months ago, she says, I'm voting for Trump now. I'm like, well, what changed in the intervening 8 years? That's why I wouldn't ever come out of my mouth sideways like that. And the Playmaker says, oh, the C Nation got to Cole again. 2 laughing on the floor emojis. No, C Nation didn't get to me. Just bad reporting has gotten to me. I'm like, if you're going to actually report the stuff, report it right. It's like when I had my foray into the journalism business, the head of my boss said to me, it's more important to be right than to be first. And there was a lot of people who wanted to be first, and they were all looking like stupid, bumbling idiots. And nothing irritates me more than that. So it's not C Nation. It's just people wanting to be first, saying, oh, John Cena retired. He says his last match is WrestleMania. Hear the whole thing, not just part of it. But whoosah, I digress. A fun movie happened before the Independence Day weekend began, and that is Beverly Hills Cop, Axel F. Now, we talked a little bit about it on Friday. We're going to talk a little bit more about it today. Actually, this is going to be more concentrated on the movie itself. And we have our new associate producer of the morning shift, Cool McCain, to thank for this. And in the program spotlight, in today's program spotlight, we'll touch on what we thought about Beverly Hills Cop, Axel F. Now, stop me if you heard this before. Now, we heard how people were probably, I guess you could say, afraid of how Beverly Hills Cop 3 was. I mean, it premiered 30 years ago, and it was a wonder world full of crap. And I really do mean that. And if anyone made that movie 1 star, then you must have been snorting something pretty heavy. because that movie was horrible. But thankfully, I will actually say, and I saw Beverly Hills Cop Axel F over the weekend, and I actually liked it. Now, but I put it on par with 1 and 2? No. But it was a great it was a great time. I didn't feel as though I wasted 2 hours of my time. I didn't think I had to say, "Oh Lord, I will never get that back." Like I did watching this Indian movie last night. I really did feel as though I that was 2 hours that I wish I could get back. Oh, I'm sorry, my bad. I'm getting off tangent. Well, anyway, over the past weekend, we got a chance to get a feel of the movie Beverly Hills Cop Axel F. And after 40 years, Eddie Murphy can play his iconic detective again in his sleep. Sort of have issue with that. But it's the little details, though, that make his latest movie a true comfort food throwback. I mean, you have retro Bob Seger, the song Shakedown. You had the Pointer Sister tune, which would be Neutron Dance. Both played early in the movie. That signature Detroit Lions varsity jacket and the impressive commitment to on-duty ridiculousness, along with, of course, having the movie begin with a nod to the late Glenn Fry's "The Heat Is On," which to me is probably one of the best songs he ever wrote. 3 decades after Axel's last assignment, which was Beverly Hills Cop Axel F, actually was pretty good. It's a confident fourth outing in the action comedy franchise, and while it's a modern release, it streamed rather than premiere in movie theaters. Everything else actually was pretty old school. You had chaos and probably destruction to begin the movie. Plus, you had Harold Faltermeyer's synth groovy that Axel F. The Axel F theme playing all throughout the movie, and it followed Foley from his beloved Motor City to Southern California. And of course, you saw a bunch of old faces that returned: John Ashton, Bronson Pinchot, Josh Reinhold, to name a few. Also Paul Reiser. But this time, Big Dad energy seemed to really infuse the movie, further cementing himself, Murphy, I mean, as a top cinema character. Now, after a crazy pants incident in Detroit involving a snowplow and bad guys on ATVs, Axel gets a call from his old buddy Billy Rosewood, played by Josh Reinhold, who left the Beverly Hills Police Department and now is a private-eye investigator investigating corruption within the department. Axel's strange daughter, Jane, played by Taylor Page, a new face on the scene. He's an LA defense attorney, has become embroiled in the shady shenanigans, and you'll also see that she and Mr. Foley, they just clash hard throughout the movie. And so, of course, in finding out that his daughter is trying the case of a guy who's embroiled in this brouhaha and controversy, he heads to the First Thing Smoking from Detroit out to LA. But there's a lot of hard feelings between the two, especially on the daughter's part. But there was a stupidity on the father's part. We both at fault. Come on, Axel. I'm sorry, my bad. When Billy goes missing, father and daughter reluctantly team up to uncover the conspiracy with the help of Jane's detective X, Bobby, and that's played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, of course, another new face on the scene. Director Mark Malloy makes his debut in directing Axel F, which is interesting, self-aware. Bobby runs down Axel's prior Beverly Hills escapades, including one in 1984. Quote, "Not your finest hour," close quote, says Bobby, a sharp jab at the forgettable third film. On point, because it wasn't his finest hour, and it was no one else's finest hour who acted in that movie. Even Teresa Randall, who even she with her fine self couldn't save that movie. I'm sorry, this is in Beverly Hills Cop 3. Woosah. The franchise on a whole nicely borrows a page from the playbook of the similarly toned Bad Boys movies in recent years, in this case, building out the mythology with debuting characters. And yeah, I have to admit that was a good touch. That was a good touch. The personalities allowed Murphy to showcase different parts of Axel. Unfortunately, I think it also showcased the fact that this was a 62, 3-year-old doing the same bits that a 22, 23-year-old was doing. And he was more fresh and able to do it at 23, and he was hungry at 23. And the same shtick just doesn't come off the same 40 years later. Kevin Bacon's shady Captain Grant, who I would say is actually that was one of the best characters in the movie, gives a complicated foil between this and the new horror flick Maxine. Bacon's enjoying a nifty bad guy period. Gordon Levitt gives Murphy a fun guy to banter with, while Paige lets the longtime star dig into Axel's parental emotions. Badly, I may add. While he and Jane hadn't spoken in years, it's slowly revealed. Murphy, though, shines in the moment, which I highly doubt at times, when Axel sees his girl child in person after so long apart, and the chatty cop is left speechless for once. Now, that was good. Familiar players return to supporting fashion, such as, of course, Bronson Pinchot's Serge. Paul Reiser's embattled Detroit police. Well, it was a police officer turned captain, Jeffrey Friedman, and John Ashton, who now is the head of the Beverly Hills Police Department, played by John Ashton. And of course, the character is John Taggart. Now, one of the biggest disappointments is the limited screen time with the original cops, meaning the Reinhold and Ashton characters, along with Murphy, too. They were separated mainly by plot, but energizing when all together. Now, while the franchise has never been known for hard-hitting police drama, Axel F does veer too earnest at times, and is at its best when embracing a sillier side, like a chase to Rodeo Drive with Axel driving a meter-maid car and neutron dancers pumping through speakers. It's interestingly arresting, but Beverly Hills Cop, Axel F, I have to admit, they know when to play the hits. And thank you, Norman Whitfield in The Temptations for that bar. If I were to, and the rating of a show that I know that I'm probably going to promote in the next few seconds, I would probably give it 3.5 stars out of 5. It was good. I won't say it was great. The first 2 were better, and it was far better than the third. But I'm happy to say that it will not be 2 hours that you'd waste. I'll put it like that. And that is today's program spotlight. Many thanks to Cool McCain for being the associate producer for that one. And if you want to catch this movie being reviewed, tonight is the night. That's right. The forecast will review themselves, Beverly Hills Cop, Axel F. And you can tune into them tonight live at 9:30 p.m. Eastern, 8:30 p.m. Central on Roku TV via BS3, the YouTube channel adorning the BS3 network, and the Facebook page with the BS3 network on it. That is the forecast. You can catch my man BS3, my man Mayhem or Wilkes. You can catch my man King Dog and my man H-Rap B. All 4 of them will preview this movie and review this movie live in living color for you tonight. And they do reviews every Monday night, 9:30 p.m. Eastern, 8:30 p.m. Central on Roku TV. Just hit that BS3 logo on the Roku TV app, BS3TVLive.com, the BS3 Network YouTube channel, the BS3 Network Facebook page, and the _forecast YouTube channel. Coming up next, Project 2025. Is the sky falling, or is this an actual threat to democracy as it's being told by many? You're watching BS3 Presents the Morning Shift with Cole Johnson on the BS3 Network and also on the BS3 Morning Shift Cole Johnson YouTube channel. And you're also watching it, also listening to it live on the Real Wise Radio Network. We'll be right back right after this. there's a 100% chance of a laugh thunderstorm. Four men with different viewpoints take a movie, show, or documentary and review it uncensored, unfiltered, uncompromised, with no holds barred. Join BS3, Wilkes, King Doc, and H-Rap B as they take on Hollywood their own way. BS3 Network proudly presents The Forecast, where H-Rap B always predicts,
if I owe you something, I ain't got it. And if you need it, get it from God.
live every Monday at 8:30 p.m. Central. Check your local listings for your viewing and listening pleasure. This is a BS3 Network presentation.
I want to do a TED Talk, but I don't have anything to talk about yet. I'm getting there.
Life is for the living. We're not here that long.
You can learn anything you want to learn without any money spent.
What do I really enjoy? What do I really want out of life?
I am your host, WIZE.
Are you in a life holding pattern? Well, this is for you. Welcome to the Stuck in My Mind podcast. Live every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday at 4 p.m. Central. This is a BS3 Network presentation.
So, sit back, tune in, tell a friend. This Dope Cookie Show, we about to get started, and it's about to go down. Check me out.
Join your culinary master of ceremonies, Chef Jeff, as he introduces to you This Dope Cooking Show. Live every Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Central.
Welcome back to the Morning Shift with Cole Johnson. We are on live on BS3TVLive.com. We're also live on the BS3 Morning Shift Cole Johnson YouTube channel, and we are listening to it live on the Real Wise Radio Network. And back to Shift Nation we head, and both comments are from one of my reliable shifters. And Brian McCarthy says, look, the Cena news of his farewell tour and reporters getting the news wrong of his last Mania once again proves don't be first, be right. And now I have been in journalism now for almost 10 years. I can actually say to you, I don't think I've heard any better advice. I think that's the best advice I've ever heard in terms of journalism than that. And that was the first lesson I learned. People want to rush to be first, but I want you to be right. And I'm like, finally, somebody who gets it. Victor says, look, I've realized I'm getting old because of the last couple of weeks. I've been listening to 80s TV show theme songs. Look, I've been watching Benson reruns. So now I know I'm getting old, my brother. But you know what? I've been watching them, and I'm proud to say that I'm watching them. And if people want to clown me for it, I don't care. I'm enjoying life. And that's what it's supposed to be. Oh my goodness. So yeah, do any 80s TV theme that you want. Making your way in the world today takes everything you got. I'm sorry, my bad. This is it. Oh, my bad. Let me stop. You take the good. No, let me stop. Okay. I'm sorry. I gotta be serious because we're talking about Project 2025 or Project 2025, however you want to frame it. It's been getting a lot of run and a lot of press as of late. And the run and the press it's gotten has been more along the lines of the sky is falling and it's something you shouldn't trust.
But what is it really? Now, we've heard the buzzword, but many pretty much don't know what it entails. So, in today's cover story, we're going to unpack what is Project 2025, who created it, what it's about, and should we even concern ourselves with the sky literally falling? Now, Project 2025, you probably heard many warn you about it. In fact, there's even a couple of programs on the BS3 network that says you should take a look at what Project 2025 represents and what it shows. The detailed plan to dismantle and reconstruct government, laid out by conservative groups known as the 2025 Presidential Transition Project, has critics up in arms over its, in their terms, quote, apocalyptic and authoritarian, close quote, nature. The Heritage Foundation, a conservative think tank in Washington, D.C., led an effort to create the more than 900-page Mandate for Leadership, published in April of last year, reimagining the executive branch and presented a plan to overhaul several federal government agencies, including the FBI, for the country's next conservative president to follow. Why just conservative? How about just the next president, period? According to the project's website, the playbook provides a governing agenda and lineup of people ready to implement it to, quote, rescue the country from the grip of the radical left, close quote. It includes a domestic and foreign policy agenda, a list of personnel, training, and a 180-day playbook. Project 25 said on its website, quote, it is not enough for conservatives to win elections. With the right conservative policy recommendations and properly vetted and trained personnel to implement them, we will take back our government. I'm any conservative politician, and I approve this message. Close quote. Project 2025's director is Paul Dance. Now, he has served as the U.S. Office of Personnel Management Chief of Staff in former President Donald Trump's administration. Now, although it mentions Trump by name, the handbook does not directly assume the Republican Party's presumptive nominee will be the one to carry out this platform's agenda. Interesting. Now, if you were to ask, what in the heck is Project 2025? What is Project 2025? What is it? I've heard it. I need to know. Well, the mandate attacks several policies that former President Barack Obama and current President Joe Biden instituted, including student loan forgiveness and Obamacare. Side note. Mitt Romney, who was a Republican governor of Massachusetts, did the same thing when he was governing Massachusetts. Obamacare was the same thing as mass care. I digress. It simultaneously calls for expanded executive power for the commander-in-chief while criticizing what Project 2025 members perceive as overreaches by the Biden administration. The plan reads, quote, presidents should not issue mask mandates or vaccine mandates, arbitrarily transfer student loan debt, or issue monarchical mandates of any sort. Legislatures make the laws in a republic, not executives, close quote. It depends on the situation, and that's not coming from a Democrat, that's coming from an American citizen. COVID-19, look at that. I digress again. The playbook calls for the reinstatement of a Trump executive order augmenting a president's power to hire and fire federal officials by replacing civil servants with political appointees throughout government. It also seeks to repeal aspects of the Affordable Care Act, which is Obamacare, and mass care, urge the Food and Drug Administration to reverse their approval of abortion pills, and further empower immigration and customs enforcement to deport undocumented immigrants. My people in Texas, how bad is immigration there or illegal immigration there? I've lived in that state for decades. I know the deal. Again, I'm digressing again. The plan also specifically addresses LGBTQ plus issues and attacks, quote, radical gender ideology, close quote. Men and women, two genders. That isn't radical, that's just fact. Again, digressing again. In addition to calling for an end to the Department of Education, it suggests legislation that would forbid educators from using transgender students' names or pronouns without written permission from their guardians. No comment. It also appears to oppose same-sex marriage and gay couples adopting children by seeking to, quote, maintain a biblically based social science reinforced definition of marriage and family, close quote. Yeah. Now, this document seems to engender concerns. What type of concerns, you may ask? Well, Project 2025 received substantial criticism from Democrats. Oh, what a shock. Including Representative Jasmine Crockett, the Texas congresswoman who called out the controversial plan during a congressional hearing back in June. She said, quote, I don't know why or how anybody can support Project 2025. In the United States of America, dictatorships are never funny. And Project 2025 is given the playbook for authoritarianism, as well as the next dictator to come in with their beach blonde, bad-built, butch body selves. I'm sorry, my bad. Close quote. Progressive Democrat U.S. Representative Ayanna Pressley of Massachusetts called it a, quote, far-right manifesto, close quote, in a post TikTok. The Biden campaign captured in a video detailing Project 2025, stating it, quote, needs more attention, close quote. No, what needs more attention is the fact that you got to govern as if the people matter and not think that you all have all the answers. But this is how people govern. Badly. And that is today's cover story. Now, for things that are a whole lot more inspirational and a whole lot less political in tone, tune into my boy Axel F, one of the best interviewers that I know, and a guest that he has. And if you want to have anything that is inspirational or humorous or motivational or funny or something that just makes you feel good about life in general, tune into Stuck in My Mind podcast. You can watch that live today, tomorrow, and Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central on Roku TV via BS3 and the Stuck in My Mind podcast YouTube channel. That is Stuck in My Mind podcast. Join my boy Axel F and a wonderful guest of his own as they take you through a conversation that will make sure that you are better than you were when you entered it, live Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 p.m. Central on Roku TV. Just hit the BS3 logo on the Roku TV app, BS3TVLive.com, and the Stuck in My Mind YouTube channel. Now, coming up next, why aren't my prayers being answered? Kanye West has said the same thing, and we'll dive right into it on the other side. This is The Morning Shift with Cole Johnson, presented by BS3 Network, and we'll be right back right after this. The moderator.
As woman, you can't be too friendly because the minute you're friendly, then they think you flirting.
The level head.
I think so that thing is over. So I'm not looking at men like that anymore.
The truth slayer.
Okay, what in the HPV yeast infection is going on over here?
The X factor.
So I'd rather you tell me everything up front and let's start fresh.
The intersection of life and spirituality never sounded this good. BS3 Network proudly presents Life Happens live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. Cool McCain.
You thought you wanted Gunther against Chad Gable, but you didn't. And I'm going to tell you why. Chad Gable would take everything that Gunther's done and bury it.
The Playmaker.
It was on site. AJ Styles walked out there, seen LA Knight. Oh, okay, then LA Knight hopped out the car. Let's go.
Break down everything in TNA, AEW, and all of the WWE programming. Join these two kings, monarchs of wrestling, live every Monday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Central on the Play Caller Sports Talk YouTube channel. Alicia.
You can't hold somebody to that standard if you haven't voiced what you want and what you're needing from that.
Mika.
If you're not communicating expectations, you're waiting for your feelings to be hurt.
Nicole.
A lot of people don't want to take the time out to be alone and to get themselves together.
Ivan.
You got to be willing to work through stuff. And from the jump street, y'all done had problems. Maybe you don't need to be working through those.
BS3 Network proudly presents Queen 3 and King podcast. Live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central.
Welcome back to the Morning Shift, as presented by the BS3 Network and Cole Johnson and Comey Media Incorporated as well. You are watching it live on BS3TVLive.com. Also watching it live on the BS3 Morning Shift Cole Johnson YouTube channel, and you're listening to it live on the Real Wise Radio Network. I am Cole Johnson, and Shifter, it has been a pleasure thus far to join you on this day. I hope everything is well with you. And I hope everything continues to be well with you. And I hope things are even getting better for you by the minute. And back to Shift. Oh, before I do continue, if you want to be part of Shift Nation, all you have to do is go to the BS3 Morning Shift Cole Johnson YouTube channel and catch the Morning Shift with Cole Johnson live every weekday, 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Central. That is the BS3 Morning Shift Cole Johnson YouTube channel. You will have your statement read on air, and we will engage the way, well, shifters should do. And to Shift Nation we go. Cool McCain, my brother, who we just saw the commercial of Monarchs of Wrestling. You can catch him and Playmaker later on tonight, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Central. He says, happy Monday, Shift Nation, and happy Monday to you, my brother. And, of course, he also is the associate producer of the program Spotlight segment of the Axel F review. Playmaker, of course, he is the associate producer of all the sports stuff that we do on the Morning Shift. He says, this country here, shake my head. This country here. It's always something. That's the way I look at it. And Ryan, with his statement, I think he must have climbed in my head when he said what he said here. The problem is we've become so polarized, we get hyper reactionary when agendas like these are released. Also, us as voters, we have the onus to be discerning and be cautious when it comes to our vote. When I co-created Mentality, because Mentality is a 50-50 venture with Wise F. When I co-created Mentality, part of what I wanted to do was to inform people politically what it is to be informed, not necessarily be gaslit and just have talking points be represented and pom-poms being held by Wise or me. And I knew I was on the right course when we also talk about other issues where a commenter actually said, oh, I came in for this, but you wanted to go back to politics. I'm so sorry. I was like, well, that's good because you need to get into it. And if I were to say, well, I totally back Project 2025 or Project 2025 is a stinker,
then I wouldn't be doing my job. I wouldn't be doing my job. Forget the journalists. I wouldn't be doing my job as a citizen of this country. And my job is to put forth stuff to you and to inform you in how to think, not necessarily tell you what to think. You know, the information is out there. How you disseminate it is up to you. It's not up to me. It's not up to me to brainwash you. It's not up to me to say you should think this way and think that way. No, take the information that you have and discern it and use it in the next 4 months' time to actually decide who should run our government, and not just the federal level either, the state level and the local level too. Take all that information and intelligently, intellectually come to a decision at the ballot box. That is my job. Not to tell you, vote for this guy because they represent this, or vote for this woman because they represent that. No. Can't do it and won't ever do it. In fact, I mean, I won't ever do that because, well, I know I'd be hearing a whole lot of unanswered prayers if that's the case. Oh, wow. I didn't know I was going to segue into that. But that seems to be a big time talking point with many. Why is it my prayers are unanswered? I don't understand it. Well, hopefully you can get a better grip of this in lighting the way. Father God, in the name of Jesus, thank you so much for this wonderful day. Thank you for getting me up for this day. And thank you for having 2 or 3 gathered together in your name to be in the midst, because your word says that if that is the case, you will be in the midst. So yes, be in the midst here and have my ego be divorced from the following words I'm going to say. None of me and all of you is what I want represented, and have what you're saying from heaven come down to my lips and be disseminated to those who are within the sound of my voice. And may the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be always acceptable in your sight. Oh Lord, you are my rock, my strength, and my redeemer. In Jesus' name. Amen. So I came across this article, and this hasn't been news. This actually has been out there for a good while. And it came from one Ye. Well, that's what he's known now, but Kanye West is what he used to be known by. And he was talking about how, he did a song, about 20 years ago called Jesus Walks, and he always wore his love of Jesus on his sleeve, although he might not have represented it all and might not have talked about it all the time, but he had the feeling of this is something that is partly me. And then he did a gospel album a few years back and did a tour in churches and arenas on Sundays. But then a funny thing happened on the way to now, and that was after he stopped doing the tours, his personal life basically went to shambles, and he got separated and divorced from his wife, Kim, and they've had some disputes in terms of custody. And both have gone on to have other mates, and in Kanye's case, spouses. But he was on a quest to want to get Kim back. And since he did not, he felt as though, well, I put it out there and my boy didn't hear me, type of thing, right? Saying, quote, you know how many threats we've been dealt with? I didn't pray my way through the threats. I had to get up and do it myself. I had so much to do. I didn't have time to pray. That's where my issue is. And look where I am today. Show up. I understand it's controversial, but I dropped the con. Close quote.
Well, Mr. West, here's the problem. You didn't drop the con. You became the con. And the con is you can't get around in life unless you are sans Jesus. That's the con. The con is we operate this world. We created this world. That's the con. The con is we don't need anything or anybody else. That's the con. And why is it a con? Because it's a straight up lie. We need Jesus in our lives. And God created all this, not man. How in the world could man create earth? And no, I don't care what belief you have, no person can answer that question for me. But I digress. So I read that, him having issues with Jesus and not turning to him after doing all these concerts and doing a gospel album and having that issue, basically saying that he dropped the con, but literally picking up the con. And it made me think, well, why is it that we're having more and more who actually are like him? Who actually say, well, I prayed to God, but I didn't get my answers prayed. I didn't get my prayers answered. Well, here's why. James says it best, and I can't say it any plainer. The 4th chapter of James, verses 2 and 3, he says, you desire and do not have, so you murder. You covet and cannot obtain, so you fight and quarrel. You don't have because you don't ask. And you ask and do not receive because you ask wrongly to spend it on your passions. All right, say it again. Chapter 4, verse 2 of James. You desire and do not have, so you murder. You covet and cannot obtain, so you fight and quarrel. You do not have because you do not ask. James 4, verse 3. You ask and you do not receive because you ask wrongly to spend it on your passions. So why is it important to ask God for things? Because we can do a lot of things on our own, yes, but we were given that ability. We didn't inherit it. We were given it. We have the ability to do these things because God said, yes, you have the ability to do it because I breathed that life into you to do those things. But it's up to us to recognize that this is what God has done instead of thinking, well, through my might, I got that job. Through my might, I got that girl. Through my might, I'm a father. Or through my might, I got $1 million. No. Through the will of God, through the mighty name of Jesus, you got all of those things because he knows you're in from the beginning. He knew you before you were even formed in the womb. You don't believe me? It says it in the Bible. It says it in scripture. He knew you before you were formed in your mother's womb. So he knows how you're going to die on this earth because he knows how your life is going to be after you transition. You go on from here, let alone before you were born, let alone when you were conceived, let alone when you were born, let alone when you lived as a child and when you lived as an adult. So it's important to ask God for those things because God needs to know, oh, you do recognize that I am pulling the strings here. That, yeah, you have free will, but you understand that I am the one who is your father. I am the one who is your parent. And just like any parent wants to be concerned and feel validated by what they're imparting upon you, it's the same thing with God. So what does it mean when we desire and do not get what we want? Well, we have a lot of desires. Like, I desire to quit my job right now, but I need the job because I got to pay these bills. I'm desiring something and I'm not getting what I want because I didn't pray to God for it. Now, what I prayed to God for, and I have prayed to God for this, is enlarge my territory, which that's also in the Bible.
and do not add sorrow upon me or my family. The Jabez prayer, basically, in 2 Chronicles chapter 7. I think 7:14, but I digress. I'm not desiring becoming an entrepreneur. I prayed for that. I desire wanting to get out of my job, but I didn't pray for that. And I'm not praying for that on purpose, because I prayed to God for the job and now I have it. And I prayed to God for the promotion and I have it. So I'm not going to go back and say, well, the prayer that I prayed for it, well, Lord, scrap that prayer altogether. No. No. Now I desire to have more freedom in my life. And that's what I'm having God help me work through, so I can properly bridge from what I'm doing now at work to what I want to do. And I have God to thank for getting me to that level. Now, why do we ask and still not receive? It's like with Kanye, a great example. He prayed to have Kim in his life, but it just wasn't in the cards because it just wasn't meant to happen. She was meant to be in his life for a season. He was meant to be in her life for a season. And that happens. I prayed for my ex-wife to return. It was for a season that she was meant to be in my life. And I had to learn that lesson. And guess what? The bigger lesson I had to learn in that time period. And it's the same thing that Kanye has to learn. Because I talked similar to him. I thought it was, this prayer stuff. Why pray? Because God ain't hearing me. You know why God isn't hearing you? Because you're not under his will. That's why he's not hearing you. And basically, what is that saying? It's not God's fault. No, it's yours. Like when I prayed to God for my ex-wife to return, I was outside of God's will. So that was my fault. That was my fault. So there's scripture that says, draw nigh to him and he'll draw nigh to you. And if you draw nigh to him, he'll give you the desires of your heart. Meaning, if you learn more of what God is about, then you'll learn what his desires for you are, and you become more along the lines of what he wants for you instead of what you selfishly, ego-wise want for yourself. So how can we get our prayers heard and answered? Learn God's nature. And how you do that? You have to study to show yourself approved. Learn how God works. Learn how God moves. Learn how God has his being. Learn what God wants in your life and in everybody's life, so that you won't be thrown off, and so that he can be proud of you, and so he can trust you with more, and so he can give you more, and so that you can live the life that you really do want. Because really, we don't want everything that we ask for. We really want to have things beyond what we've ever asked. And isn't that really what we want and desire? Yeah. We want to we want to have things in life to exceed what we want. Well, under God, that's exactly what will happen. And if you get under God's will, any of us, that's exactly what we will receive. To Shift Nation, before we head on out, thank you, Playmaker. This is Habakkuk, verse 2 in chapter 2. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Thank you. And he also says, sorry for cursing, which he's not. But patience is a gift from the Spirit, which it is. This is one of the fruits of the Spirit, too. Correct, sir. 100%, my man. 100%. And Ryan, he ends this off. He says, I've learned the 4 answers from God gives prayers to the 4 answers that God gives in prayers are yes, no, grow, or not yet. We are told to be still and know. And I'm still learning that lesson. Ryan, I'm still learning that lesson too, bro. I am still learning that lesson too. I'm not claiming that I know it all, because I don't. So I got to turn to the author who does, the author and finisher of our faith, And that is how I know. That's the only reason I know. Yeah. I'm still learning that lesson that I had to be still and know that God is God. Yeah. And Jesus is Jesus. Still have to do that to this moment. This is why I love Shift Nation. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. This is what I mean by shifters. They are powerful and they're going to be moving the earth with what they know and how they grow. Because that's the same agenda that I'm on. So that's all the time I have. Thank you for liking, sharing, subscribing, and sharing this and hitting the notification bell so you can get anything and everything from the BS3 Morning Show Cole Johnson's YouTube channel and watching this program live. So for all of us at the Real Wives Radio Network, all of us at the BS3 Network, and all of us at the Morning Shift, and many thanks again to my associate producers, Cool McCain and the Playmaker. I'm Cole Johnson, here to say in parting, as I always do, if you lack commitment, you will never start. If you lack consistency, you'll never finish. And if you lack love, my friend, you most certainly will never conquer. And until we do this again in 23 hours, be blessed because you're a blessing. And how do I know that? Because you're a blessing to me. Hopefully, I'm a blessing to you as well. God bless you, and I love you. So long.